Hello, folks. We are back talking high school football with Dave Fawcett. Dave, how you doing this evening, afternoon?
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah,
Doing well.
good to see you as well. So we had some lopsided scoreboards on Friday night. Give us the rundown and tell us some of the factors into that.
Yeah, in my opinion, this is becoming more the norm. Every high school football season, it seems. I think it was 7 of the 8 games involving Prince William County area football teams were, yeah, incredibly lopsided. I think I added up. I think the average point differential was like 50, points between the winner and the loser. And so, you know, at least from my standpoint, there's become this widening gap, at least within the county of this, the schools that are continue to do well and the schools that continue to struggle, and they're just this disparity just becomes more obvious, more
Mhm.
prevalent when these types of games, when you've got the top playing the lower end of the standings, and then this is kind of what happens. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, it's kind of become, I think, more of the norm. I think you're seeing in some of these cases, some of these schools, there's changing demographics. They've got good enrollments. They just have changing demographics. There's not as much interest in football. Maybe the kids who are coming out don't have the same experience level. So I think that some of it. Some of it certainly is transfers, kids, going to other schools. You've also, I think, got the specialty program factor there as well, where you have a kid, maybe who's base zone for one school, but is able then to go to, to another high school for that specialty program, and then be able to play there as well. So, and there's and you got kids also specialization. Now the age of the multi-sport athlete isn't as prevalent as it once was. Kids kind
Right.
of focus on one sport year round, but um, yeah, and it's usually the same Unity Read, for example. I mean, there's a program that boasts 5 NFL draft picks, which is the most of any high school in Prince William. And they can barely field a varsity team. This is their 6th year of just having a varsity program. And
So
so
interesting.
yeah, freedom we've talked about, Manassas Park certainly has had its perennial struggles. Osborne Park. So there's various, but this is kind of becoming more the like I said, the norm, and it's yeah, it's you start to
Part of
see
it, you
this
think,
separation.
you have players and young kids with kind of high aspirations, and they see a program that's performing so well, and they try to find a way to get over there. So the rich get richer, and then some of the middling teams, I guess, lose their best players. Is that
Correct. So I
happening
think
a
it's
little
kind of the
bit?
haves and the have-nots too,
Yeah.
is maybe another way to put it. But yeah, that's certainly a lot more. And if there's opportunities to do that, if there are pathways to do that, so I think you're going to see more of that. And certainly within the county, I mean, you've got a number of options there, a number of high schools. But yeah, it's just I don't know who it really benefits.
Right. And it
On
ebbs
either
and
side of
flows.
that
I
spectrum.
mean, after a few years, things will turn just like at all levels of sports. Some of these teams will have down years and
And
the
see
ones.
it, and that's the thing. I don't know that's going to be cyclical with some of these programs. I think that's sort of, at least from what I see, is
Mhm.
that they could continue to stay in this downward spiral. Like, I don't know that they're going to get out of that. And I think that's the thing which I kind of would concern me, because your point is well taken. Yeah, everyone has ups and downs. They got good years, bad years, but for some of these programs, they're having perennial bad years,
Mhm.
and to the point where, I mean, it's not even enough to be competitive. They're not even, being able to score point, or I mean, enough to win games, let alone be competitive, score points. And at some point, you just wonder, is this really, good
Yeah.
for anyone? Because again, I don't trying to get out of that hole is gonna be more than just, oh, we're just having an off year because, well, we're young, we're in some of these cases with some of these programs, that's the pattern.
Yeah. Gosh, kind of a bummer. I hope you prove to be wrong in that sense, right?
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah, I
trust
don't want
your
to sound
opinion.
pessimist, but it just, on the outside looking in, and looking at kind of a big view of it, it's. I hope
Yeah.
I'm wrong, but that seems to me kind of where it's been and where it's going to continue unless, there's just, yeah, there's
Yeah, it's just not.
either an infusion of talent or changing the way some things are done, and allowed, could alter that a little bit.
Yeah,
But, there's just some things that are just part of the, of what's going on, especially from the demographic part of it. It's just,
yeah,
that's where
yeah. It's
that's the makeup of the enrollment.
tough to get motivated to head out on a Friday night to go to these games and for the student body to get jazzed
Sure.
up if they've been in this kind of years long rut.
Correct.
All right, we got to move along here. We will talk about we'll cheer things up a little bit and talk about Caleb Tucker, Woodbridge's quarterback, who just had a historic night for him. So go ahead and tell us about Caleb Tucker's
Yeah,
evening
so this is
with
his
Woodbridge.
first year here at Woodbridge. He transferred from Potomac. He uh, the week before, two Fridays ago, he set the what was then the school record for single season passing yardage with 385 yards against North Stafford. Then this past, which was topped the old mark, which had been in place since 1992, he topped it by 10 yards. Fast forward to this past Friday, the 26th, he goes out and throws for 459 yards against Hilton, and that actually was 7 yards away from tying the Prince William County single season record
Oh
of
man.
466.
Wow.
He's a guy that I don't know if this is a total shock. He was at Freedom he was the backup quarterback as a freshman and sophomore on their two state
Mm.
championship teams. You saw some glimmers there. And when he was at Potomac last year, you saw what he's capable of, a little bit more. And now this year, with he's a good decision maker, but he also has some really good receivers around him. He's got a good line to give him protection. So, all of that is really working in their favor. I mean, and in addition to that, he's completing, I think, almost over 70% of his passes. So they're high quality
Yeah.
um, passes going, long, middle, short, and they can do a lot of different things with him.
That's an incredible 459. I mean, that just would have been unheard of for back when we were in high school,
Right, and
for
they
a high
have a
school
good. I mean,
quarterback.
and they can run the ball. It's not like they have to rely strictly on the pass. I mean, they've got a very good running back in Marquis Sharp, but sometimes you kind of have to work with what the defense is giving you. And they beat Hilton. Hilton's struggling right now. And so they ended up Woodbridge won 56-6. Caleb threw for 6 touchdown passes, but the numbers are the numbers, and even against North Stafford, which obviously is a little. Uh, is a really high quality opponent. He still was, making good decisions. He's only thrown 2 interceptions in 5 games, against 20 touchdown passes. So, his numbers aren't inflated in the sense that he's doing it only against maybe more struggling teams.
Important point. Yeah, that's a really good point to make. These aren't just all kind of rolling over teams and he's putting up garbage time numbers, if you will.
Correct.
At Woodbridge, so they're just one loss, right? At the North Stafford. Is
Correct.
that right? So they're four and
Yep.
one. Is that
That's
right?
right.
Okay, four and
Yep.
one for Woodbridge. Other two undefeated teams, right? We have Colgan at 4-0. They were off this past week. Of course, Battlefield's undefeated streak continues. So we have some really high quality high school football here in Prince William County. Let's look ahead to Friday night. I'm assuming the game's Friday night. What's our game of the week, Dave?
So you just kind of alluded to Colgan. So that'll be Colgan is at Gar-Field this Friday. This will be Colgan's Cardinal District opener because, like you said earlier, they were off. They're kind of the team that really not sure. Maybe people know totally what to make of. Because this is new territory for them. They've
Yeah.
never been this good, certainly this early. So they're kind of going as they're going. And so this will be, a good test for them. I think they're probably the favorite going in, but Gar-Field, has a good offense. They've got a good quarterback, as well as Colgan does. They'll be prepared. So I think this will be a good test for them to see, okay, I get this, feeling Colgan is probably going to have to kind of keep proving themselves because people
Yeah.
are they really, they've had some good quality wins, especially against Brook Point. They're averaging, I think, 47 points a game. But I think probably there's some people that might be kind of, well, we'll see. Maybe this, we'll just see how good they are. And they're good, and they've definitely, it's a 4-0 record is 4-0 record, regardless. But I think there's still kind of going to be some questions. So, this will be another opportunity against a quality Gar-Field team, as they enter district play.
And maybe you've chatted with their coach about this. Do they kind of revel in this underdog constantly having to prove ourselves role? Maybe he's using that for motivation to his guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they look at. I mean, he's a very good coach. I think they look at themselves and go, yeah, they've had some close games as far as at halftime, and then they've kind of come back and showed some resilience. And so, uh, I get the feeling they feel like, no, we're a legit 4-0 team. And
Yeah.
kind of another kind of side storyline to this is that L.J. Richards, who was at Colgan last year, was an all-region player for them in the offseason, transferred to Gar-Field, and now he's part of Gar-Field's top running back. He's also a very good linebacker. He's committed to Hampton University, so that'll be an interesting. I mean, he left on good. I think he left on good terms, but that'll be an interesting matchup as well. To see what because they, as well as Colgan's doing, they're still young. They lost LJ. They've graduated a bunch of players, and yet they've still been able to. Do what they've been doing. So I think it's going to be it should be a good game, even though Colgan, I think, will probably go in as the favorite.
Bright days ahead for Charles Colgan High School. Where is that game?
It's at Gar-Field at
At
7 o'clock.
Gar-Field.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. Um, I wanted to go back to just one thing with Caleb Tucker. Is he seeing some college interest?
I think he's getting some. I don't know that he's getting a bunch
Okay.
right now. As far as, and when I say that, I mean maybe more like higher Division I programs
Hmm.
type of thing. But he's certainly putting up good numbers. This will be
Gotcha.
his, I think, first season as a full-time starter, with the same team all season. So, they're trying to get, maybe see more of him on film,
Yeah.
and see what he's, capable of doing. But I would think, the interest is starting to ramp up.
I wasn't sure if there were, offers on the table right now that we were familiar with. So, all right. Well, Dave, man, as we mentioned when we were chatting before we jumped on camera here, the crazy to think we're heading into week 6, or we are in
uh,
week 6 now, how fast it
October.
goes. So, all right, we'll keep up the great work. I know you have all kinds of coverage, feature stories, game recaps coming for us Friday night or first thing Saturday morning. Check out InsideNoVa.com. Head to our sports section for Dave and our reporters' coverage, score game recaps, and plenty of other news around Northern Virginia. Thank you, folks. We will talk to you later. See you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.